What's going on, everybody? Today's video is called Evolve or Go Extinct. And I'm not really comfortable on video yet. I don't really like looking at myself while doing this, but gotta get used to it. So yeah, evolve or go extinct. I think just about the worst thing that you can do in life is knowingly do the wrong thing. And maybe like an example of that would be like, you know you shouldn't say something mean, but you do it anyway. Because when you do this, you tend to just learn the same lesson over and over again. And then you're not growing. Because you really can't even learn unless you change how you act. Like, say you say something mean to your friend out of anger, and then she gets really sad and she doesn't want to be your friend anymore. The next time, say you make a new friend and then you get angry at her and you go to say something mean, that moment where you have the choice to repeat the same old behavior or change is pivotal, crucial. Because if you keep learning this, if you keep making the same mistakes, you do not grow. But if you have the potential to change, keep growing as a person, if you change your behavior. So say the next time you get a friend, you get angry, you're tempted to say something mean, but you're like, "Hey, I don't want to lose this person as a friend." So you don't say it. And you'll probably be glad that you did not say it, because every you shouldn't say everything you think when you're angry. At least I know I shouldn't. I got some egregious thoughts up there, but I don't say them. And after not saying them for a while, I have less of those egregious thoughts. Because sometimes when I get angry, I'm just trying to hurt I get defensive and I'm just trying to hurt your feelings. And I've done that, and it's either I say something that doesn't hurt their feelings and I'm disappointed, or I do. And I've landed a couple of those real cutthroat insults, and it's one of the worst feelings I've ever had. Like, when someone makes me mad or really hurts my feelings, my instinct is to I'm thinking of what can I say that will really hurt them? And for a long time, I said the worst thing I could think of. And most of the time I didn't really hit a nerve, and this is people I care about, like my friends and my family. They'd make me angry or hurt my feelings, and I would say the worst thing that I could think of to them. And the first time where I really did it, I hit their nerve, something they were really insecure about. I saw the look on your face and I felt like the biggest piece of bleep in the world. I hated myself in that moment. But here's the difference. After I learned that, after a couple times of just seeing the joy run away from someone's face and just feeling them just I made that person sad. That's not what I wanted. I was hurt. Hurt people hurt people. And I don't know if y'all are ready for this yet, but hurt people hurt people hurt people hurt people hurt people. And it goes on forever. Generational trauma type bleep. I'm trying not to swear. It's my New Year's resolution. And it's not the new year yet, but hey, can't hurt to get started early, you know? But so after a couple times of me saying things to people that really hurt their feelings, what I thought I wanted, and every time I got hurt, and it took a couple times for me to learn it. So it's not like you have one opportunity. You keep learning the same lesson until you actually learn and do something different. So after I landed a couple of those knockout punches, cutthroat insults, the next time I was tempted to the next time someone made me angry and I was tempted to say one of those things, I would shut my mouth and I'd walk away. And it's hard to do that. It's real hard. I still to this hate I hate to this day doing it. Like I'll be at a bar. I was at a bar and a guy like cut me in line. And then he was like, "What are you gonna do about it?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm not gonna fight you because you cut me in line. I'm not 10 years old." But like it sucks when someone else is like, it sucks being the bigger person, but your boy's real big. No, but it sucks taking the high road. It sucks being the bigger person, but you're better off for it. Like people would say bad things to me, and once I would stoop down to their level and try to insult them, like they're just dragging me down. But if you walk away, it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But if you walk away and don't let them like bring you down, you win. Cuz they got some negative energy going on. And if you walk away and just don't even let it phase you, I promise you'll be better off for it. And and this brings me like it's the same topic, but we're gonna pivot or proceed. I don't know. So we learned that lesson. Since we learned that lesson and we changed our behavior, we can move forward. And the next thing is like the concept of taboo. This has been on my mind for a couple weeks. So I had to rip out the mic and let them know. Taboo. Definition of taboo, I'm not going to look it up. Um is like things that you shouldn't talk about. And I really want to swear right now, but I won't. 'Cause I'm taking the high road. I really don't agree with that concept of taboo. I don't think there should really be anything that you shouldn't talk about. Because the reason taboo, and I don't know, I'm quoting it. The reason taboo exists is because of like we so here's what happened. I don't even know what happened, but this is what I think happened. There was a dinner party and everyone was having like a respectful discussion about something taboo, like politics. And Jim was like, "Hey, I I think we should lower taxes." And then Beth was like, "Well, I think we should raise them to take care of the people who don't have any money." And then they were like, "Hey, I don't agree with you, but I respect your opinion. Now let's get back to the party." And and then there was this guy named Jeff, and Jeff walks up and is like, "Nah, like Beth, you an idiot for that. Like how could you even think that? Like I don't even want to like be around you." And Jeff's the problem. The problem wasn't talking about politics, the problem was Jeff. And so someone else at that party, I don't want to give him a name because it would just get too confusing, was like, "Hey, maybe we just shouldn't talk about politics." And not it's like, "Nah, maybe Jeff shouldn't get aggressive." And maybe Jeff should be able to talk to people without agreeing and that like that's okay. Cuz the world now, it's like Republicans watch Fox and liberals watch CNN and you just are rewatching the same recycled the opinion you already had, and that's not good. Like what? Like if I already know what I think about birds, like I'm not just going to go rewatch everything that taught me what I already know about birds. Like I'm gonna check out the new bird documentary, see if it like shakes my worldview, makes me Like, it's awesome when s for me, it's awesome when, like, I change my mind. I'm like, I never thought about it like that." And that's the problem with Jeff. He can't, like, you gotta be open-minded, and you also gotta be like, "Hey, it's okay to disagree." I'm not saying that you need to talk about politics at a party, like, you really shouldn't probably. Well, I don't know. Like, if you and your bro are just, like your new bro you just met are on the side and you're, like, getting deep, talking life, then why not? But it's like, if you're in a, like, multi-person conversation at a party, probably don't bring up I don't know. I don't know. See, it is complicated. But, like, you're at a essentially, it's like you're at a party to have fun, have a good time. You don't need to talk about politics and religion. But then when do you talk about them? There's never really a great time to talk about them these days because everyone's so sensitive and doesn't know how to talk to someone who disagrees. Everyone's so, like, closed-minded. That's the problem. Like, I know a lot of people where it's like they they say they hate everyone on the, like, other side. Like, I know some liberals that hate Republicans. I know Republicans that hate Democrats and think they both of those people I know, like, think the other sides are, like, dumb. And it's like, no, they have different experiences and they think about things differently. And I've talked to people like I don't I grew up in a my parents had a certain political affiliation and I was pretty like diehard. I wasn't diehard. I never really cared too much about politics when I was younger. But I was like, I rock with this too. And it's like, yeah, because the people like that's like because my monkey see, monkey do, you know what I mean? Like I learned everything I know from my parents who are a certain political party. So, yeah, I'm gonna be that political party. But then the first time I talked to someone from the opposing political party, I was like, "You're probably wrong, but, like, I'll hear you out." And say if it's, like, a issue on, like, guns, like, liberals don't like guns because of school shootings, but, like, one Republican point of view might be like, someone broke into my home and shot my grandpa and my dog's friend. So, yeah, Imma want a gun for the next time that happens so I can save the lives of those I care about. And then I'll be like, I the liberal might be like, "Man, I never thought about it like that." And even if someone doesn't change your mind, like, agree to disagree, and if it's getting to the point where it's like it seems like no one's gonna change their mind, then just get back to talking about other stuff. Easier things to talk about where people aren't so in, like, disagreement. And my other I don't know what to call it, my other thing that's related, it's like, I talk to some people and it seems like they don't wanna talk. Like, I'm always for the most part, I'm usually getting deep, getting down. I'm deep dive like, I'm talking big life, like, life stuff, like, not me. I'm talking about big things, like, I don't know, I talk about, like, religion, society, politics. I kinda shy away from politics because everyone's like, we gotta learn how to communicate again, and some people don't wanna communicate because they don't wanna, like, hear something or realize it this is my perception. I feel like some people don't wanna talk because when they're talking, they're like in their mind, they're like, "I don't wanna say anything that disagrees with the choices I've already made," because they don't wanna, I can you could logically bring me to a point, but it's like, if I don't wanna change anything about my life, then I'm gonna be like, "Hey, let's agree to disagree," and I'll be like, "Alright, man, but" You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'll talk to someone who hates their job, and I'm like, "It's so important to, like, be passionate about your job," and they're like, "Yeah, but you gotta make money," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, but it's harder, but you could find something that, like, you're passionate about and makes money," and they're like, "Let's agree to disagree." And it's like, that's fine with me. I'm you can you can do whatever you want. I only control me. I'm not worried about what you think. But I like to talk. I like to have conversations. And I like to talk about this stuff because I like when someone says something that changes my mind. Like I was doing a podcast with my boy Adam, and I think he said something that I'd never heard before. And I live for that stuff. And he said something like fear is the most selfish emotion. And I was like, ugh, stank face. Immediately. Ah. But I live for that. I don't know if that's the reason I live, but I love that. I love seeing things from a new way because it gives me a better understanding. And I walked in my brother's room the other day. I see this. I don't know if you can read or it'll be backwards, but I'll read it. I'm pretty good at reading. It says, meet success like a gentleman, disaster like a man. And I've never heard, but I saw that and I was like, stank, stank face, stank. Oh, what is that? I love that. Immediately I was like, because I'm my head is full of mantras and sayings easy conversations. You can have easy conversations in a hard life or hard conversations in an easy life. And every time, the first time I heard that, I was like, damn, damn. Let's say damn's not a swear for this episode. But I was like, stank face. Because I was like, that's so true. And I've never heard that before. And I love that because I life's about new things, evolve or go extinct. I'm not trying to talk about what I already know. I'm trying to learn new stuff because new stuff, here's a kicker. New stuff can either, oh my, new stuff, also known as change, new things are change, synonyms, cinnabons. But you can, when something new happens, you have the opportunity, nah, nah, nah. You have the choice to be you excited or scared. And here's the difference. Say you were younger. It's oh, did you hear so-and-so joined our friend group? And you could be like, from what I know about so-and-so, I don't like them at all. Or you could be like, nah, new, new example. New example. The old one's tapped, cooked. We're done with that one. Say say someone's moving, say someone new is moving in next door. You could be like, what if they're a murderer trying to kill me? That's fear. And now I'm going to do excited. What if we become best friends? Two equally valid thoughts. Two equally valid thoughts. Nah, nah, maybe. Two equally valid questions. But one of them provokes fear and one of them provokes excitement. Know what I mean? Someone's moving in next door. You could say, oh my God, what if they kill me? Or you could say, what if we go to the water park together and it's awesome? It's your choice. And mindfulness is tricky. thoughts are kinda your choice, but it takes a long time to adapt. We'll get more into that later, but, like, here's a saying I love. The first time I heard it, I was like, "Ugh, stank face." The only constant in life is change. Stank face. The only constant in life is change. Like, humans always wanna, like, cling on and get everything figured out, and then something new pops up, and they're like, "Ah, I thought I had everything figured out." But the only constant in life, the only thing that stays the same is that things are always changing. Nothing is permanent. So when new things come along, yeah, you can be like, "Oh, I was doing good. I had everything figured out." Or you could see it and be like, "What if this makes my life even better?" Two equally valid points of view, but they get you in two completely different ways about thinking about change. And that's, I think, one of society. Yeah, I don't know why I like talking about society. I'm like a big picture guy. But like that's one of society's like biggest problems. Like it used to be like women had little to no rights. They couldn't vote. I want to make a joke about it, but I won't because this is serious. But and then one woman was like, "Hey, we should be able to vote." And all the men were like, "Pfft, kidding me? Kidding me? Hey, why don't you go cook my ham? Kidding me?" But then another woman was like, "Nah, she's right. We should be able to vote." And then one man was like, "Hey, why shouldn't they be able to vote?" And now it's not even in question, at least in America, sort of. But like women's rights have come so far. But like when they first, and it's the same thing with like gay people. The first dude was like, "Hey, I like other men." And ooh, society did not like that one. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. But then another dude was like, "Hey, I like men too." And then everyone else was like, "Oh, hell no." But now, like, we're so much more accepting of gay people, which I support, by the way. I want to be clear on that. But what if, like, and I think the reason, like, it's what I was just talking about. It's because when something new comes along, you're like, "Nah, we got that. I had everything all figured out. What's this new thing?" And we get very angry and we can be very, very hateful. But what if the first time a guy was like, and I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying. What if the first time a guy was like, "Hey, I like other men," we were like, "Hell yeah, man." Like, I've never heard that before, but, like, what do you mean? Well, I know what you mean, but, like, I never heard of that. Let's talk more about that. I wanna know where you're coming from instead of, like, throwing them in jail and beating them up. And to play devil's advocate, there are, like, some, like, new things that could be seen as bad. There are some, and that's where I'm gonna go next, good and bad. But say say, like, a known criminal is moving next door. It might not be the best thing to just think like, "Hey, what if that guy's my best friend?" And that's where it's kinda like a plan. It's kinda like plan for the worst, hope for the best, but it's a little different. I would rather say, like, do everything that's in your control and have faith that the rest will work out. And that way you're golden. You're golden Caulfield. Um, because yeah, what if a known criminal moves next door and then you're like, hey, what if he's my best friend? And then that night he comes to your door and he kills everyone in your family. Bang, 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 bang. Not great. But if you're a little concerned, then like maybe I don't know, find some way to protect yourself. Like get a alarm system or get a guard dog or get a something to protect yourself with. But don't be like so new neighbor's a known criminal. Like what if they were wrongfully convicted? And maybe like what if they did it but like they know it's wrong and they changed? Like just because they did one thing wrong, no one should ever like talk to them or hear them out or be friends with them again. Sounds a lot like cancel culture, which I really also don't agree with. But like no. Like people make mistakes. That's what makes us human. We're not robots. And like today, I'm getting like I don't really like talking about society, but I guess that's what we're doing. Like I don't like cancel culture. Like, oh, this celebrity said this one awful thing. They should not be famous anymore. Like they shouldn't. No one should ever watch or listen to anything they have to say ever again. Like what? What? Like what if that? Like if your mom says one thing that you don't like, do you cut her off forever? No. And ideally, like you say, hey, like the baby is a good example. He said something horrendous about I don't know, something about the LGBT community, and it was I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was bad. It was real bad. And everyone was like, "No more the baby. No one listened to his music ever again." Like Lil Baby, not Lil Baby, the baby. He said something bad, but he also like he apologized to the LGBTQ community. Like it doesn't w- one one mistake doesn't mean someone's a bad person forever. Like everyone makes mistakes. By that logic, we'd all be bad people forever. No. It's the same thing if a known criminal is moving next door. Make up your own mind. That's another thing. Make up your own mind. What if you're like, hey, okay, I'll talk to them, but like, I don't know, they're a known criminal. And then Betsy from next door was like, oh no, he's I tried to be open minded, but he's a bad guy. You might be like, I had my feelings, Betsy. Thank you for saving me that conversation. I could have been in danger, but like, you're always in danger in some way or another. Like I'm in my house right now. What if my house collapsed? Duh. I can't like really I'm not gonna like prepare for that. I don't think that's gonna happen. Like you're always in danger in some way or another. Like every time you're in the car, any other car could crash into you and you're gone like that. Because life is temporary. Everything in life is temporary. Nothing is permanent. The only constant in life is change. You're alive, then you're not. And you don't know when that's going to happen. And that's real scary, but nothing you can really do about that. Are you going to live scared? Or are you going to live life? Is that a Wes original quote? That got the stank fit. that got the stank face? Are you gonna live scared or are you gonna live life? Because, like, you could be scared of anything. I feel like so let's get back. Betsy's like, nah, he's a bad guy. You'd be like, thanks for telling me, Betsy. Now I have more information. But I'm gonna go talk to him. And then you go talk to him and he's a great guy. He's like, yeah, 10 years ago, I robbed a store because I needed money because my family didn't have any food. And I know that was wrong, but I'm trying to be better. What do you say, neighbor? And me, and be like, shake that hand. I'm like, hell yeah, man. People change. People change. People change. Like, people change. Like, one mistake, I'm not gonna like rule you out forever. I started, mm, everything's connected, man. But one time, I think I already talked about this on another episode, but my friend in middle school was like, I don't wanna hang out. And I was like, well, I don't want the kind of friend that doesn't wanna hang out with me. And I cut him off. Bah! No more of that friend. And I realized how stupid that was. And the truth was, he didn't want to not hang out ever. He didn't want to hang out right now. And that's fine. Like, I can have friends that don't want to hang out with me all the time. I don't even really want friends that want to hang out with me all the time. But I know I'm all over the place, but make up your own mind. And when something new happens, don't like assume the worst. You can plan for the worst if you want, but like hope for the best. Because you'll miss out on a lot if you're always assuming the worst. Like, say, "Oh, he's a known criminal, even Betsy said so, I'm never gonna talk to them, and I'm gonna, like" every time you walk outside, you're, like, scared, you're going fast to get the mail because you don't want your neighbor to smoke you with a chopper. And and then there's another timeline where you're like, "Hey, they're a known criminal, even Betsy said so, but Imma go up," and you talk to them, and either they were wrongfully convicted or they knew what they were did what was wrong and they're trying to change. And like a quote I love is if you're breathing, it's not too late. Stank face. And that like and that's not a fact. That's what I believe. Like if someone's trying to be a better person, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt because one mistake doesn't make you a bad person forever. But like you got to give people a couple chances. What happened to 3 strikes you're out? Like, say your friend does something you really don't like, and you're like, "Hey, man, I didn't really like that." And they're like, "Okay, I will never do it again." And then the next week they do, and they're like, "I'm sorry, man, it'll never happen again." You should be aware that that's been twice now, and you'll be like, "Alright." And you should tell them, like, "But if you do this again, like, I'm not gonna be your friend anymore." Next week, bang, they do it again. Like, at that point, you gotta you are at that point, you are what's the word? You're enabling them. You're enabling them. But I think Imma tie it back to what I first started talking about, and it's like, evolve or go extinct. Like, if you don't learn your lesson and you keep making the same mistake over and over again, you're just gonna get sour about life and then die. and you're gonna die anyway. But what if instead you learned your like sometimes things happen that you don't want to happen, but if you learn your lesson, you grow, and that's an amazing feeling. You can be proud. You should be proud of yourself when you grow, and you can move on to bigger and better things, and you keep like leveling up. And then one day you get smoked with a chopper, or you get hit by a car, or you die of old age, if that's even a thing. Can you really die of old age? What age? Yeah, it has to be some form of like disease, I think. But nothing in life is guaranteed except death and taxes, they say. But like, you can either level up or you can say, oh, that's taboo. I don't want to talk about that. And you can stay in your little box and keep learning the same lesson and get all sour about life. And then you die and that that doesn't really sound like a great life to me. But it's like, ah, bad thing happened to me. I overcame it. Bad thing happened to me. I overcame it. Bad thing happened to me. I overcame it. That's the story of a hero. Do you want to be a hero or a zero? Do you want to be a hero like D Rose? Do you want we could be heroes like D Rose? He's a basketball player for any of you that don't know. Or do you want to be a zero? That was kind of random, but let me tie it all together. Let me cook. D Rose was he was, I think, pretty much the best basketball player in the NBA at a young age. Very young age. I think he like beat he had one shot like beating the Cavaliers with LeBron James in the playoffs. Like he was him. Maybe you guys don't know basketball. He was the best player in the NBA, which is very hard to do. And then he had a knee injury and he tore his ACL, I think. And he was never the same. But he worked as hard as he could. He fought back to the NBA. And he dropped like 60 in a game. And he was crying. And the stadium was going crazy. And that's just about the best thing you can do in life. Bounce back. That's an overplayed song by Big Sean, but that's really what it's all about. Like, things you don't want to happen are going to happen. What are you going to do now? Are you going to pout? Are you going to quit? Or are you going to work harder than you've ever worked and overcome what happened to you? Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And you don't even control what happens to you. So your whole life is pretty much how you react to things, which is like that moment where you're angry and you could say the worst thing you can think of and try to hurt that person's feelings, or you can learn your lesson and walk away. One story is I never learned my lesson. Two is it wasn't easy, but I overcame that and I was better off for it. Like that's the difference between a sad life and like a winner. That's the difference between a hero and a zero. That moment, that life is in that moment when you can either decide to keep doing what you know is wrong or to move forward. Life. Life, like, those moments are what make or break you. D Rose, best basketball player in the NBA, debatably. He's up there. He's Rushmore. So debatably the best player in the NBA gets hurt. He doesn't know if he could ever play in the NBA again. He worked his whole life to get to the point. That sucks. Do you know, like, that? And he was never the same. And that sucks. Life can suck sometimes. Life can punch you in the face hard. And are you going to stay on the ground or are you going to get up? It's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get up. Life ain't all sunshine and rainbows. I love that Rocky scene. I don't know the whole thing. I wish I had that memorized. But, like, your whole life is determined by what you do right after something bad happens. Ooh, should I talk about that now? Should I save that for a new pod? F it. Not swearing makes you sound like such a nerd. F it. Are you kidding me? But I'm trying to be more like everyone can watch me, you know? I'm trying to be more versatile. So F it. Like, I forget now. Oh, yeah. So I think that was clear. Like, life, your whole life is, this is what I'll leave it as. Your whole life is determined. Look like Trump. Your whole life is determined. Sorry. I'll leave it on this. Your whole life is determined by what you do right after something you perceive as bad happens to you. And now I'm going to talk about now I'm going to talk about why I said something you perceive as bad instead of bad. I I don't know when I kind of realized this, but a part of me believes that I'll just start talking and I'll figure it out. Three of my least favorite words are good, bad, and objectively. Like, anything can be good or bad. It's about how you look at it. It's about perspective. Like, hey, you win the lottery. Oh, that's awesome. That seems like such a good thing. But then everyone in your life asks you for money and then hates you when you say no. And then you don't have to work hard, so everything kind of seems meaningless. And your whole life, like, and that actually turned out to be a bad thing. It's like good, you know, I'll keep going. Say say you break your arm. Say you break your arm playing football right before the championship. You're like, this is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. And then in the next game, the guy who replaced you, he gets like a concussion and can never play again. And I'm kind of blending 2 points together here. The first is like nothing. I genuinely believe like nothing is good or bad. It's all about how you look at it. And then secondary point is like, especially because you can't see the big picture. And like we were just talking about, like you write your story, like something, say say your dad dies. Almost anyone I think would call that a bad thing, depending on who your dad is, but let's say he was a great guy. Like you can just that's gonna hurt real bad. But you can either like and I'm not saying you can't be sad, but you can let that like you could pout and be sad forever, or you can be sad for a bit and be like, well, I'm gonna make my dad proud. For the rest of my life, I'm gonna work as hard as I can and make my dad proud. And a better example is like Drake, and this is kind of related. Drake's dad, I think he was like a kind of a hands-off father, maybe. I don't know. I think based what I know is like he's a hands-off father. You can either look at that and be like, "Oh, my dad doesn't love me. No one else will probably love me. I should probably just be depressed and just wait around to die." Or you could be like, "My dad didn't want me. Imma show him how wrong he was and how great I am." Because your dad not wanting you, it may seem like a bad thing. It may seem like the worst thing in the world. It may seem like there are no positive aspects to it, but that's where you're wrong. A positive aspect can be it fills you with the fire to be great. And that's nothing is good or bad. I don't think I'm explaining this perfectly, but like nothing is good and or bad. Everything has pros and cons. I think I'm going to stop here. I'm probably going to talk about that another time because I don't feel like I'm explaining it as best as I can. And that may seem like a bad thing, but it's not because I'm going to come back and explain the living S out of it next time. So is it really a bad thing? I'll leave you with that. Thanks for listening. I'm getting more comfortable being on camera. Stank face. All right. I love you. Ooh, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Genuine. Let's put all that let's put all that over here for a second. First of all, thank you for listening. I love you. Second of all, like, subscribe, comment, post noties, post notifications. Turn them bad boys on because I'm gonna keep going. I got more to say. Um, Follow, tell your friend about it. But I love you. Thanks for listening. Peace.